Welcome to the Dream Journal. From the studios of KSQD in Santa Cruz, the Dream Journal is a weekly show where we explore the power of nighttime dreams through conversations with dream experts and with listeners like you. A dream can be meaningful even if you don't know what it means. And the name of today's music coming up soon is going to be called Lamentia. Get out of the comfort zone and get into the cosmic zone with our guest, Madi Murphy. Guided by cosmic downloads from her dreams, Maddie became a night worker and learned to use astrological birth charts to help understand those big dreams of our lives. Our guest today is Madi Murphy. I am your host, Katherine Bell of Experiential Dreamwork, and welcome to the Dream Journal. I'm going to just share a fragment I had this week, which I haven't even written down yet. It's been cold here and a little rainy, which in Santa Cruz is rare. And I dreamed that we had snow. And the snow, in the dream, I turned on the light on the porch, and this beautiful snow, all illuminated by the pink lights I have outside my deck. It was gorgeous. But when I woke up, oh, no snow. We're at 1,800 feet, but didn't get this time. But just that, I got to have that little cosmic snow moment of being in the purple snow with the snow on the railings and all that. So not this year. I think we passed our window, but I thank the dream gods for giving me that little glimpse. All right, welcome, Madi Murphy. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you so much. It's so fun to be here, and talking about dreams is actually one of my favorite things to do in the world.
There's so much to talk about, isn't there?
Yeah.
So let me introduce our guest. Madi Murphy is author of In the Cosmic Zone and founder of CosmicRx, a moon-powered movement helping millions decode the stars and embody their full potential through astrology and empowerment while democratizing everyday magic. Maddie blends ancient wisdom with modern self-development to help people live in radical alignment with their soul's blueprint. And you can find our guest at CosmicRx.com. Great. Thank you so much, Maddie. So you talked to me about dreams, and I understand that dreams are one of the things that got you going on your cosmic path. I wonder if you want to talk a little bit about that.
Absolutely. So I think the dream realm, was my first conduit understanding to something bigger happening. I would have very vivid dreams from a young age. I dreamt of, now that I know as past lives, like almost Joan of Arc. I mean, I'm 4 or 5 years old, having dreams about running on a horse from a burning village with or dreams. I told my parents one time I had a dream about like a harem, and they were like, "What?" And I was like, "Just came to me in a dream." So I always knew that I was like, my dreams felt different, right? And I was like, so that was one of the things that made me pull on that thread, that cosmic thread of like, what's happening in this other realm, and why is it so vivid sometimes, or why am I having dreams about something before they happen, like a prophetic dream, maybe not something significant, but having a dream that my bicycle broke, and then the next day the tire falling off of it. I'd be like, that's so weird, but like I didn't know how to make sense of it. And then in my late 20s, I went through a series of very big life changes. What I now know in astrology was my Saturn return, and really a calling to like kind of cast away all of these sort of more inauthentic layers of myself that I had put up to try to survive and fit in. And I had 2 dreams that changed the course of my life. I was working in publishing in a magazine. I lived in New York City. I was like, this is what I should be doing. This feels very, check of the life list, right? And I had a dream that I was in a healing session, like laying on a table and sort of having this like medicine person, I had never been to anything like this, wrote above me with a feather in the sky and just wrote the word healer. At this moment in my life, I had never, used this word. It wasn't in the vernacular and the lexicon as it is now. And I literally went to my best friend the next day and I was like, I had this dream and I feel like it's telling me I need to pursue what this means. So I went on a journey. I went to study nutrition. I thought that would maybe be the healing journey because, again, still very earth, very practical. I was like, let me go and heal people through medicine, through food, maybe like food as medicine. And then a few years later, about 6 years later, I had a dream where my paternal grandfather, who was a cod fisherman and very burly, very tough, very stern, he passed away before I was born. And I had a dream where he was sitting in a rocking chair with a plaid blanket on, and he kept saying the word shaman to me over and over again. And I had really, again, didn't really know what this word meant. And then 2 days later, a woman came into, at the time I owned a coffee shop in Brooklyn. And she came in and she's like, who owns this coffee shop? And we sold all these whimsical unicorn lattes and amethyst lattes. She goes, who owns this coffee shop? I go, me. And she goes, I run a shaman school and you need to come to it.
Wow.
And I think that if that had been weeks earlier or days earlier, I would have been like, lady, what are you talking about? But because my paternal grandpa John Murphy, came and told me that dream, then she came in and told me, I was like, okay, I finally reluctantly almost signed up for shaman school. And I was like, send me a sign I'm in the right place because this is so out of my comfort zone. And the guy who ran the school, who was like property, he like lent it to the school to do this work. I met him. He had this beautiful business where he sold like wares from Peru and on behalf of the merchants there. He gave me his business card and his name was John Murphy, same
Ah,
as my grandpa.
oh
So
my
I was like,
gosh.
okay,
Uh,
right place, right time. So it's one of my favorite stories of like I spent my whole life following my dreams and helping other
mhm.
people do it because I literally followed my dream, like the healer and the shaman dream. I was like,
Oh my gosh.
right?
That's pretty amazing. I mean, and then the same name as your grandfather. And I'm thinking about your grandfather, this tough cod fisherman. I bet he never knew anything about shamans and
He
life, maybe afterlife.
Afterlife, definitely. And that's what I love also about the dream realm. It's like, oh, like grandpa here on earth, he definitely didn't use that word. He's a tough guy. Everyone called him John Wayne, very, like man's man and
Uh,
very Catholic and all of that. But then I have found that in the afterlife, he is definitely one of my guides in a really beautiful way. So yeah, it's a very, very powerful, powerful moment.
wow, that's very cool. Like, and the synchronicity of the same name is just kind of chilling. It's
I
like,
know.
woo.
And it sounds like a common name, John Murphy, but I've
Mhm.
actually never met any other John Murphys.
Mm, mm. Okay, just the two biggies. Yeah. So then you've also said that you've had like teachers come to you in dreams. So certainly your
Mhm.
grandfather is one. But what other teachers have kind of led you on this path?
Oh my goodness. So a few things. I used to wake up very, very, very tired all the time, even though I love sleep. I'm a deep sleeper. And there's astrological signifiers in my chart of the things we're talking about, but Pisces energy, which right now we're in Pisces season. Pisces is connected to the dream realm, and Neptune, the ruling planet of Pisces, connects us to dreams. I have a lot of Pisces in my chart. So I would have these dreams, like a solid 8, 9 hours of sleep, but I'd wake up exhausted. And in my dreams, and people would tell me, they're like, you visited me in my dreams last night. And so a few things started happening. And I'd have dreams that I was in like war torn countries, or I had dreams that I was helping people. It was very interesting. And when I started shaman school, my teacher at the time told me, he's like, we've heard of light workers, right? And I think you're a night worker. I think you're going in your dreams and doing healing work. And that's why you're waking up so tired. So I was
So
like,
you're doing
oh,
healing work for other people, is that what you're saying?
yes, like this is what
Oh.
he says. In your dreams, you can travel through the astral realm and, whatever it is, reaching people's higher consciousness I don't totally understand it, but he said, he's like, when he said it to me, it clicked on so many levels because
Mhm.
the dreams I had, I was like, I knew I was traveling far and wide in them. But then I also was like, okay, but how do I actually get a good night's sleep? So one of the first nights, he goes, ask your guides, like, make an inquiry before you sleep. And I was like, oh, okay, that's a cool idea. I didn't know I could do that. So I wrote down on a piece of paper. I was like, please help me. Like, I'm down to do my night work. I'm down to be of service, but I also have to like function in my everyday life.
Right.
So I essentially did a petition, like, can I please help me understand how to sleep better? And that first night, I had a dream, and two things happened. Like, one, they told me, they're like, thank you for like the dream. I was on like a mountain, like in the fog, and they were like, we hear you, and we're gonna give you the most beautiful night's sleep. And I dreamt I had never had a dream. I've always had dreams that were very fraught, like fraught. Every dream I had, I'm like saving someone, I'm rescuing someone. There's fire, there's flooding, like, and like I very rarely had just like a happy dream my whole life. This night, I was just floating in like the mist of a cloud, and they said that like all you had to do was ask, and I was like, oh
Mm.
my gosh, that was a great. So I'm just floating. That was amazing. And then that same night, I had a different dream where a woman who was a teacher of mine came to me in the dream and showed me a whole ritual, this tea to make, how to drink it, how to stomp my feet before bed, like showed me
Hmm.
like a protocol. And I didn't realize it was going to get that specific. I was like, oh, I woke up and I was like, because my dreams again used to be very abstract, very all over the place. Like, oh, there's an orca, and then
Right.
I'm an elevator, and then like, like they weren't really like cohesive like that.
Sure.
And so I woke up and I was like, okay, I have to make a tea with this tea. I need to do this to my body and just stomp my feet before bed, I guess. And so ever since I started doing that, I just have a much better relationship with my sleep. And I have found my dreams are like very, I don't want to call them productive, but they're like, I can feel myself working through a lot in the dreams, like
Mm-hmm.
harnessing the energy of them a little bit better. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. Getting more traction because, like you said, they're often very abstract. But
Yeah.
it sounds like you're actually making some connections and like productive. I don't know. I think that's okay.
Productive and like help me understand the dream for a while, for my whole life up until I started doing this more intentionally. It sounds funny. I felt like I was partially awake in my dreams and then partially still in my dreams when I was awake because they were so vivid. They were so
Uh-huh.
almost like, I don't want to say disturbing, but they were just like so intense emotionally that I'd be talking to you right now and I would still be kind of like thinking about my dreams, or I'd be like, I'd wake up and I'd be like, was that real? Because they were so
Mm.
vivid, but I didn't know what to do with them.
Well,
Whereas
it's like
now I,
my dream of the snow on the railing. It was so
yes,
real
like
that if
so
you asked me if it
real.
snowed, I'd probably say, "Oh yes, it's definitely snowed." Like, oh, but it didn't.
Right? Like, in some
Right.
ways, and you're kinda like, "Did it?" Like, and it almost, and if that's a dream that's more intense emotionally, it's like,
Yes.
how do I kinda shake that? Whereas now I can feel my dreams, I can feel myself almost working through things from the day, like, processing in the dream time in a beautiful way. I can feel myself visiting people or getting visitations from people. I can feel myself getting information I need because of this concept of just working a little bit more intentionally. I thought you go to sleep, that's it. Head on pillow. Wash your face, brush your teeth, good night, right? I didn't realize it was this whole, but then you think about it, you're like, oh, you spend so much of your life sleeping. Like,
Mm.
why wouldn't you be a little bit more intentional with what happens there?
Right. And so do you like then set intentions before you go to bed, like incubations? And you had the thing about stomping your feet and that kind of thing, but that was specifically to help you rest, right? To-
That was to help me rest. And essentially, a lot of what I realized, and maybe people listening might resonate, but I realized that one of the biggest things I need to do was call my energy back to myself,
Oh,
like before I went to
right.
sleep.
Mhm.
So, as someone who is very empathic, very open, very energetically sensitive, I was going to sleep essentially like imagine going to sleep and not washing your feet, walking around barefoot all day, or not brushing your teeth, or you're not going to have a great sleep because you're like, ugh, like I'm just covered in like, ugh, from the day. I was like walking around with essentially like a lint trap of other people's energy on me.
Mm, mm.
And so everything, whether it's, on really intentional nights, I will take a salt bath and some nights I am tired and I don't have time to do a whole bath, but I will just say, I call all of my energy back to me now. Like, right.
Mm.
And just something as simple as that, or I'll watch everyone I saw in the day and just kind of be like, okay, goodbye. a beautiful cutting a cord back to you, especially if it
Right.
was like something more intense. And that sleep hygiene or energy hygiene
Mm.
was one of the first things that really changed things for me. And when I do that, and I remember to do that, I generally tend to have a much more restful, restorative sleep.
Okay, I love that. So I'd love to like to touch into the idea, the astrology. So did the dreams also lead you to astrology? Because that's a lot of what you do right now. Is that
Yes.
right? Yeah.
Yes. So, I mean, from a young age, again, all these dreams, I didn't really understand things that were happening in them. And it's almost like that fog I was feeling was very like, I was in between two realms growing up, like the earth realm and then this like dream spirit realm. So I had those dreams with the healer and the shaman, but then I had a dream that was essentially my aunt always like pulled charts for me growing up. And I thought it was nice. I thought it was novel. I liked learning about astrology. But I'd look up like my crush's zodiac sign or read my horoscope in the back of teen magazine. But I don't think I understood exactly how potent it was as a framework, as a tool, as almost a way to crack the code on all of this stuff I was feeling. So I
Hmm.
had a dream that my aunt did a chart for me. And in the dream, at the end of the dream, and this is what's funny about dreams, it literally said, like, Google like this one thing. And I was like, Google? Like, you know what's so funny? You think it's gonna be this like, I run again on a mountain
Right.
with a gold pen or like a feather or an angel. At the end, it was just like a Google and it said Google North Node. And I don't know, like
Huh.
I had never heard this term or understood it really. Like I obviously there's two words I've heard before, but not together. And I saw it in the dream like, it was, like, fiery, and I was like, "Okay." So, I, of course listen, I'm not always obedient. I did not do it right away. I just was kinda like, "Alright, busy, on to jump out of bed, move on to life." And then like, things were just feeling really heavy in my life, and I was feeling really unclear. A lot of pivotal things were happening in my life, but, like, it didn't when you're in it, it doesn't feel important, it just feels confusing and messy. So I was like, "You know what? I'm desperate enough. I'm gonna Google that thing." I'm like, "What were those words again?" And this is why I always had to write things down because I couldn't remember. I was like, "North, not," or what was the word? Like, and I knew some astrology lingo, but it always was confusing to me. I'm like, the yod and the trine and the Uranus. I'm like, I don't know. So I finally Google it, and the North Node is your destiny line. It's your higher soul's
Ah.
path. So
Uh-huh.
up to this point, I was like, yes, astrology is very interesting, but something about understanding that we had this almost myth, so the mythology,
Mhm.
the connection of myth and being a human in the mundane is something my whole life I was trying to understand the balance of because I was like, how do I feel so much about what my purpose is and what the potentiality of humans are and consciousness. But then I live in Earth and I feel so confused and tired and I can't make sense of it. The North Node journey is about like your soul's path and your soul's purpose. But probably more importantly than that, in this moment, when I was Googling it, I realized that there's a north node and there's a south node. And your
Uh-huh.
south node talks about past lives and the things you came into this earth with. And when I read just a Google hit about my south node, I was like, these are the past life dreams I've been having since I was a child. Like, and it just, I became insatiable. I checked out millions of books on it, like, read every article online, listened to every podcast I could consume about this North Node, South Node journey. And they're tied into in Vedic astrology, this concept of a dragon. I think that was the fire I was feeling in my
A
dream.
dragon. You're saying like
A
a
dragon
dragon. Oh, wow.
like in Vedic astrology, they call the North Node the head of the dragon, and the
Oh,
South Node is the tail of the dragon. And it's like the North Node is like what you're moving towards in this life, and what you're consuming, and where how you're stretching out of your comfort zone into your cosmic zone. And then your South Node is like what you came in this life with, karmically, but you're also trying to like clear it and live in it in a more healthy way. So I'm a North Node in Gemini, so it's like I'm here to be a messenger. I'm here to communicate, to talk, to write, to speak. But on Sagittarius South node, on like spiritual things, on things that expand us, things that enlighten us, but in a very relatable way, a very approachable way. I mean, amongst other things. But when I studied this, I was like, oh, and then it just, and I never looked back. Like I went deeper and deeper because I never understood that this more shamanic, more spiritual, more evolutionary astrology, which is the astrology that I really lights me up about, like our souls. Why are we here? Right. It's a little less technical and it's more like, oh, right, we have the archetypal energy of the universe, of the cosmos living within us and like help us understand how to live out our soul story, how to rewrite our story, how to understand
Right.
ourselves better, understand the world at large better. And once I understood how to use astrology as that, it was like my life went from black and white to color. I was like, oh, this is a game. Like, this is fun. Like, this is so cool. And it helped me. Then I went deeper and I started reading about my chart as an adult now. And it just helped me like lock in on who I was. I'm like, oh, yeah, like this part of my chart is
Mhm.
I have big dreams in the earth plane, but I have vivid dreams at night. And that is part of who I am. And it helped us validate, okay, you're not crazy. You're not making this up, right? This is not like whatever these things we think about ourselves. So it that north node, south node journey, and I have a lot of dreams about astrology, but I remember that was like one of the distinct things that went from being like, oh, that's a nice tool. There's a lot of tools out there, right? Like,
True.
there's a lot of great spiritual tools. Not all of them like grab you like that, but after that, and
Okay.
the book that, like, set me over was, Jan Spiller, Astrology of the Soul, if anyone wants to read it. It's all about the North Node, South Node. I had that book, like, tattered into pieces, like, after that dream. Like, I would just carry it with me everywhere. I would talk to people and be like, "What's your North Node? Like, let's look into it. Let's read about it." So yeah.
Okay. So I wanna ask, this question that I'm always curious about, and, I've talked to different people about astrology, and they have kind of different ways of looking at this. But I wonder about the whole thing that so much of our lives is determined by the moment we're born, and that
Mm,
precise moment can be affected by so many different things. Like, there
mhm,
could be a cesarean, there could be,
mhm,
early delivery, there could be, like, there could be
mm,
any number of things that would affect that. But so if
mm,
we're born, like, 3 hours later, does that, shifts all the houses and all, and so but does that
mhm.
how do you reconcile that with the fact that I've been growing in the womb for 9 months and the exactly the moment I step through the door? Why is that so important? Do you have
I
any sense about
know.
why that's so important?
I do think it's such a good question, and these are the conversations I'm truly here for. I don't like doing anything in the shallow end. I'm like, yeah, let's just jump in with these
Right?
philosophical questions. This is what I muse on all day. So,
Right.
as someone who, I was reading astrology and studying astrology, for the past 10 years, and I would people would ask me things like this, and I had theories. And one of them was that, like, I do think it's interesting. Say you were really early or you're premature. I'm like, look at your original due date, do the chart of that, and then do
Right.
your due date. And you can kind of see maybe there's like, oh, I could feel how maybe that could have been me, but no, this is really me now. And I do
Oh,
believe that our
interesting.
soul chose the moment of our birth.
Whatever the
So we would have
circumstances. Mm.
something to anchor into to understand ourselves and our blueprint more. Like, it's like that moment we chose to take our first breath is,
Mhm.
I think, our way of saying, no, this was me. And by choosing that, now I've given myself this blueprint, this language through astrology to help understand like why I came to the earth. And I thought this in theory, but then over the past few years, a lot of my friends have had children and seeing who they are and how the birth time was, I was like, okay, that does feel on purpose. But then when
Mm.
I had my first child, I was like a week over my due date. And I was like, oh my gosh, like what this baby. And I went in for my week, like they're like, okay, we're probably gonna have to induce you. And they're like, you're not even like a little bit ready. Like you're like not even dilated. We can't even do anything. I'm like, I know. I'm like, what is this baby? Does it want to leave? Like, oh my goodness. And then I actually took some castor oil, which I guess I shouldn't recommend to anyone, but it did work. And I got because I didn't want to be induced in a hospital. I was like, I don't want to spend an extra 48 hours in the
Yeah.
hospital than I need to. I barely even wanted to go to a hospital. I wanted to do a home birth, but I thought it'd be better for my first. I was like, "Duh." So I drank the castor oil. My mom did that with my sister. So I was like, okay, I did that. And then I went into like crazy, like labor was brought on, and it felt like I was gonna have this baby at home. I was like, baby, husband, wake up, we have to go to the hospital right now. Like, I'm gonna have this baby. I get to the hospital, and they're like, oh my God, yeah, you're like 8 centimeters dilated from nothing a few hours prior. I'm like, huh, huh. So I thought I was having this baby, and then it just stopped.
What?
Catherine, it was my husband, like, he's like, "Oh, I forgot something really important at home, this paperwork we had to do." And they're like, "Don't leave, mister, like, she's gonna give birth right now." Stop. Every nurse, and and God bless my midwife. Some of the nurses were like, "Is she okay? Should we put her in for an emergency cesarean?" And my midwife said, "No, the baby's fine. She's fine. We're just gonna trust the timing. Everything's good. All the stats are good." I'm like, "What is this baby doing?" Like,
Yeah.
"Ah." And then finally, he come 4 hours of pushing. I was,
Oh,
like,
4
exhausted.
hours.
And everyone like, "Are you giving up?" Like, "No, I'm just gonna keep doing this." The baby's born, and it wasn't until, like, the room clears out, everyone does their stuff, and then I'm like, "Oh, I should pull up the birth chart now because I know the time, I know the day, I knew the big planets, like, where Mercury was and where Venus was." But I was like, "I don't know the time, the rising sign," which is a very interesting part of your chart. And I'm a Cancer rising, and my family has a lot of Cancer risings in it. And so I pull up the birth chart for the exact moment my son was born, and he was a Cancer rising, and that
Uh,
changes every 2.5 hours. And it was right when it moved into Cancer, and I was like, I think my son literally knew he was a Cancer rising
mm,
because the way he came in, it made no sense. Everyone around us was like, it was an anomaly. And so after that, I really have to, from witnessing it and experiencing it, I do think we choose the moment we're born.
interesting. Right, as if he influenced you to take the castor oil even, and your husband,
Even
like, all
no,
these
like,
circumstances.
all of these, like, factors,
Uh-huh,
like, just
uh-huh.
led to him having, like, so it's a very interesting fact, but I have a big family of all women, sisters, nieces. Every single person in my family has Cancer in their big 3, and Cancer is a sign of family, the sign of the feminine. And I was like, I don't think this child's gonna have that based on this birth chart, which is fine. But the fact that, like, all of those things aligned, and then he happened to have this Cancer rising, I was like, "Okay," like, there was something divine about that design.
Interesting, okay, and it turned out it's a boy, so even though he had all those feminine signs, he's like, "Okay, this is what it's gonna take for me to be in this family," or
Yeah,
something.
yeah, yeah. He's the first boy in our family in, like, multiple generations. We had all, like, daughters, aunts, cousins, nieces, all girls, and so, yeah, he's like, "I'm gonna be the first boy, but don't worry, I'm gonna hold down the feminine energy too." I'm like, "Thank you."
Okay, okay, that's great. So this is great, Maddie. We're gonna take a short break, but I want to get into questions of you more about if you use astrology in conjunction with dreams. You've hinted that at that a little bit about your past life dreams and that sort of thing, and also about using dreams to inspire your creative side and sort of getting into whatever part of you needs to be expressed and is ready to be expressed. So thank you. This is just fabulous. This is my guest, Madi Murphy. Her webpage is CosmicRx.com, and we're talking about dreams, astrology, and out of the comfort zone into the cosmic zone. The Dream Journal is broadcast live from the KSQD studios in Santa Cruz and co-broadcast live in San Jose by KCXU, and we are podcast everywhere. And I'm excited to share for the last 5 or 6 episodes, I've started releasing full-length videos of the conversations, which you can find on my YouTube page at Experiential Dreamwork. So we'll find out more about our guest, Madi Murphy. We'll be right back. Right. You are listening to the Dream Journal, and I am Katherine Bell of Experiential Dreamwork. And I'd like to encourage you to help us nudge the algorithm to help spread interest in dreaming. Please subscribe to the Dream Journal on your favorite podcast app and consider leaving a rating or a review, or maybe share an episode on your social media. but most importantly, tell your friends about the show. I'm interested in getting people talking about dreaming, and you might just find your next dream sharing buddy. Follow the Dream Journal on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, and now on YouTube by looking for @experiential Dreamwork. Next week, we'll welcome author and intuitive Athena Laz, connecting to spirit and psyche through the medium of dreams. And today's guest is Madi Murphy of In the Cosmic Zone, and her webpage is CosmicRx.com, and we're talking about dreams, astrology, past lives, and so much more. So, Maddie, what about astrology and dreams? You've talked a bit about how some of your dreams made sense in terms of the South Node and past life sort of things. And are there other ways that you apply astrology to dreaming?
Absolutely. So what's kind of cool right now, as we're, getting to do this show, we're in Pisces season, I mentioned before. And this is the last season of the zodiac year. So the zodiac wheel starts with the spring equinox, which is usually on or around March 20th or the 21st. And that is the beginning. It's we feel it in the northern hemisphere. It's spring. Oh, there's a new beginning, right? And Pisces is the month that usually is it started February 18th this year until March 20th. That's like our last journey of reflecting on the last year trip around the sun that we went on. And because of this, it's very connected to Neptune energy. Like I mentioned, Neptune being the planet that's associated with dreams and imagination and intuition. It's a time of year where we can all access something really potent from the dream realm. So I have all of my clients in this part of the year work with Pisces, Neptune energy very embodied. And that can look like anything from letting yourself have a good release from the last year. Like, is there anything that you want to journal out, or you make a great playlist and feel all your feels, cry or laugh, or like just really begin your emotions. But one of them is really paying attention to your dreams. And we all have Pisces in our chart.
Hmm.
My favorite, thing to tell people all the time is a reminder of like, we are not a fragmented part of the universe. Our chart carries all 12 signs, all 12 archetypes of the zodiac, all 12 gods and goddesses in mythology lives within us. It's just sometimes needs to be more used intentionally with more awareness. And so we all have Pisces in some place of our chart.
Hmm.
So right now in Pisces season, there is a part of your chart. Imagine like a big pizza pie is your chart. 12 slices, and there is a slice that is being lit up right now. And you can get this for free at a website like astro.com. Put your birth info in, and you could see that there is a slice of your chart, and every slice of your chart represents an area of your life. So there is an area of your life that every single person listening to, that's a part of their chart that actually the more that you dream, the more that you pay attention to your dreams, the more you're in touch with your spiritual, softer, quieter, more mystical side, the more you take time to tune in with that, the better that part of your life will be. And then it'll affect the whole of your chart and your life. So I have people who come to me who are, let's say, for example, Capricorns. And Capricorns stereotypically are more business, they're more pragmatic. My mother-in-law, I'm staying with her, she's a Capricorn. She gets things done. They're very grounded. So sometimes if I say to a Capricorn, oh, pay attention to your dreams, sorry, they're like, we don't have dreams. Like, what are you talking about? Like, what? Okay, lady, what? And I'm like, okay. So then I had to pull up their chart and I'll see, I'm like, oh, actually, do you know that the part of your chart that actually affects your money is affected to your dream life and your spiritual side? And they're like, what? And I'm like, they're like, yeah, I've been really blocked around, I can't for 10 years, can't get past this one level of money in my savings account or my investment portfolio or at my work. And I'm like, okay. So I'll walk them through some practices of like getting in touch with their spiritual side, listening to their dreams. And within a few months of working together, they'll have some sort of breakthrough. And Pisces is ultimately about flow, energy. So I tell people literally by working with either better sleep, your intuition, just surrendering. I think that's what dreams do is they surrender us to understand that there's a whole part of life and consciousness that we don't understand. The
Mm,
science of sleep is weird. Like, why do we need it? Where do we go? What are like, and of course, there's so many publications and research, papers that have been published on this. But at the end of the day, it's very mysterious, right? Like,
right, it is.
right? Like,
Mhm.
so it's almost like inherently built into us is this nod to the mystery
Right.
of
Well, this
life.
whole tagline of the dream journal is dream can be meaningful even if you don't know what it means. And that's like I like letting go of under getting meanings of dreams is
Right.
very helpful in starting to let in some of their magic.
That's exactly
Mm,
it. And then sometimes even though I work with like they haven't dreamed in years, we'll do a practice to connect to their inner child or to their grandmother or to creativity. And all of a sudden they start dreaming again. And it's like there's maybe even a reason why you're not
mm,
dreaming, right? And again, like you said, we don't have to know the meaning and like prescribe every dream in an exact translation, but just like, oh, you had dreams about like dolphins. Cool. Like that's just incredible that I went on a journey with a dolphin overnight. So I think to be connected to our dreams is to be connected to the mystical side
mm,
of life. And to be
mm,
connected to that is to understand, right? Like
mm.
how held we are, how infinite we are. And just that remembering does so much to us. So I like to tell people like everyone has a part of their chart that is very connected to the power of dreaming. It's just whether we have it turned on or not.
Okay. Oh, interesting. So even if like the Pisces in my chart is blank, like there aren't any planets or even conjunctions there, or any kind of trines or anything, that's still an influence in my life.
Absolutely. It
Uh-huh.
rules a house. Like
Mhm.
it's dictating the energetic flavor of a whole part of you. And I actually think that empty houses are some of the most fun ones to play with in our chart because we understand. Like I'm a Virgo sun. I'm like, yes, that's pretty literal. How I show up, I feel that. I'm a Pisces moon. Okay, literal. But how where I have Aries is an empty house, but that's a lot to do with my career. So how to
Mhm.
show up in Aries help me with that. And Pisces energy is, you know, my empty houses, it almost helps you understand, oh, that's what I'm putting on archetypally, like
Oh,
dress up, divine dress up, to fully embody and harness like the power of that part of my chart.
maybe I have choices around the part where, like, I can like you said, putting it on, like, I can choose a mode there, persona.
Exactly, and it does something really fun, and then why when I started to understand astrology at this level, I was like, "Oh, this is like play. Like, this is really fun." Like, when I was feeling really stuck, in, my work, my part of my career part of my chart is half Pisces, half Aries. So the Pisces part I understood. I was like, yes, I'm naturally a dreamer, creative, very intuitive, very spiritual, very emotional. But the Aries part I didn't really understand because I was like, I am not that. My sister's an Aries. She's very confident. She's very herself. She's very unapologetic. She's very bold. That was never me. But
Mm,
by putting that on, like dress up, when I started doing that in my career, almost a little bit like fake it till you make it or fake it till you make it, as I like to say, like, okay, I'm just gonna act like Aries here in my career. Things started happening, like, okay, like things took off, right? My podcast took off. Okay, I got this book. People started reaching out and being like, I like what you're doing. And I'm like, okay, because I felt like I was just shouting into the void for years. So there is something about like understanding that dress up part of our chart.
okay, I love that. So I'm curious, to talk about, cosmic downloads, dreams as the cosmic downloads. Like, what does that really mean? Like, I had there's so many dreams are just, like, mysterious and, like, maybe,
Mm,
how do I get meaning from something even without, like, pinning it to a mat like a butterfly to
mm,
like, how can I see
mm.
yeah, one is there certain dreams cosmic downloads, or are they all cosmic downloads and we just get to see different aspects? What do you mean by that?
Like, I think that so a cosmic download, think about, your computer, right?
Mhm.
Or like a system we operate on. Like, when you wake up and you're like, "There's a new program," like, do you want to download this to update your software, right? Overnight, right?
Yeah.
And I think about that. I think about downloads when we sleep and we're open to them can be anything from getting a very clear as day message like I had in my dreams, to having a moment of aha, or sometimes the download is just something like our higher awareness that is processing data and somehow and like upgrading our intuition, our nervous system, our psyche through some kind of symbolic language that we don't have to understand, but it's a download to upgrade. It's like, okay, overnight, we upgraded you from,
Ah, I see.
a
Right, right.
system like, okay, you're like, "Oh," and sometimes I will feel in the dream like it's a very clear action step, but sometimes it's just a washing over me or like a feeling of like, "Oh, something does feel different.
Mhm.
Something's integrated. Something has been like loosened from my grip of my mind
Right.
or I have some sort of feeling." That to me has been a really big one is I think one of the things that helps us manifest the fastest is having an embodied sensation of what is possible, right?
Yes.
And
Mhm.
emotions and energy help us manifest way faster than just like a list of things. And so in my dreams, I've had a taste of certain things that at points in my life I thought were impossible, right? Like being like my husband now, like I dreamed of him for years before I met him, but I had never fallen head over heels for a man in my adult life ever. But I had a feeling of what that was like, right? And then when I would have certain moments with him, and I'd be like, oh my God, this is what I was dreaming of. Like it's like I meet myself, almost like I had a quantum
Mhm.
moment with my future self in my dream to like plant a seed like this is what this feels like, keep following this feeling. Same thing with holding, an astrologer told me this is a very interesting story. An astrologer told me completely asked unsolicited that I would have trouble having children, I wouldn't have children, and that's its own I could tell a story about that. That actually is one of the things that made me very set on learning astrology because I was like, "What are they talking about? I need to look for myself. What?" And
Mhm.
so but I would have dreams of my children, and they were so real, and they were so, like, felt sense that I just knew they were coming because I was like, I feel it. If I don't know how, it might not be a linear journey to getting that. It might look like adoption or someone else's child or an intense journey to get there. But I know what it feels like to be a mother because I could feel it in my body, in my dreams. Um, and it just helped carry me through, right? And now I will have moments with my two boys, and I'll be sitting with them or, in the middle of the night rocking them. And I'm like, this was exactly what I felt like in my dream. So I think one of the most powerful things that dreams can do is give us like a felt sense of like a different timeline or something that's coming up for us as a way of saying like this feeling exists. It's there somewhere, like, just it's already there within you, right? You're just waiting to catch up with it in the 3D realm.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. Uh-huh. I think that really resonates with the way I think about dreaming too, that this is a feeling the dream is presenting me with something that maybe I haven't experienced in waking life, but I know it's possible. Like I can be loved, I can be cherished, I can and like even though in waking life I've always felt really disconnected, like if I have a dream of feeling cherished, then I know it's possible for me to feel that.
Exactly
Mhm.
how it felt to me, like, I was like, "What?" In times of my life where I was so far away from all these things, I felt and I was like, "Okay," and what that does, like a software upgrade, you're like, "Okay, now I know. I can't, like, unlearn that. I can't, like, it's
Right.
it's in me now," right?
Right, right. I love that idea of the upgrade, kind of the dreams how they upgrade us, and that really, like, helps reassure me that I don't have to remember every single little dream and work with that dream, because even the ones I don't remember are upgrading me, updating me.
Yes,
Mhm.
yes, exactly, and I think that there's something actually beautiful about surrendering the control of that, and the Pisces key in my book is just I trust, because everything about Pisces and the dreams it's like, I have to we're so human, we love control, we love to understand everything, and me too, I am the number one person who wants to decipher every dream and make sense of it. But I think sometimes, yeah, just that feeling or just trusting that like things were being rearranged while you slept, right?
Mhm,
Like
mhm.
something was metabolizing or something was integrating or something was clearing or, imprinting. And we don't have to understand it with our logical mind. we can like feel the shift in us,
Yeah,
or
right.
right?
Right, and that there's various sometimes I think about dreams as of little mini psychedelic trips.
Oh,
They're very psychedelic, aren't they? Just
literally.
little
That's what
thing. Yeah.
no, literally, you were speaking my language. As someone, like in my whole life, I'm a Pisces moon, and people, as I got to college and all the, like, oh, like, have you ever done this drug or this? I'm like, I am a drug because I sleep at night. I am having whatever, a psychedelic trip, ayahuasca, LSD. Like, I don't need any of that because
Every
where
night.
I go in my dreams every night, I'm like,
Yeah.
I actually need more stuff to plug me to Earth
Yeah.
experience.
Mhm.
So no, I always laugh. I'm like, and that's what's so cool about going to sleep, especially once I started to get away from my, I guess you'd call them nightmares I had for the first like 30 years of my life. Every dream had a little bit of, it was fraught, like I said. So once I learned how to dream in this beautiful, like abundant, blossoming way, and not that it's every night, I was like so excited to go to sleep. I'm like, oh my God, like yeah, I get to go on this little trip or get to go just be connected to the part of me that is not beholden to the 3D realm, right? Who can
Right.
fly, who
Mhm.
can try that actually, what's really cool, I've had a recurring dream since I've been a little girl that I could fly, but it's very distinct, the feeling. It's like I kind of have to like, it's like swimming or like running. And if I do it with enough momentum, I can like take off, and I can fly. And I've had so many of these. And one day my dad was talking and he's like, yeah, I've had this very recurring dream since I was a small boy that I could fly, but it feels like pedaling a bike. And I go, what?
What?
I go, what? I've had that same dream. And we just had one of those moments of like, okay, that's kind of spooky, but really cool. And it just,
Okay.
and I do feel like, I'm like, there is a part of me that can fly. There's a part of me that's very magical and multidimensional and is connected to a dimension I don't understand. I'm in this human body for a reason right now. But like going into dreams helps me like remember and reconnect that part of me that I do think we all have, that is infinite and so powerful, and so beyond like probably out of our comprehension. We get to taste it in a little of that like psychedelic trip, and it's so cool.
Right. Right. And there's evidence that the way psychedelics work is they help loosen us from our belief systems, and so that they get to shift. And so then
Mm,
when we come out of the trip, then we have the capacity to take on new belief systems. And so same thing with dreaming, they take us so they kind of when in a state when things are kind of loosey goosey and we're not so locked into our belief systems. And so the next day we're like 1 degree. We've changed a little bit every time we dream, that it just allows us to break free of some of those patterns of ours.
that is so cool. I love that definition. I'm like clocking that, I'm noting that because that's exactly what it is, right? It just loosen the grip on how we think things have to be, right? That's so much of how we get in our own way. And actually another dream I had that really changed my life, like in a very felt sense way, is I was in my dream, and so in real life, I had built this juice business, this coffee shop, very physical, practical businesses, like handing out products, known in the community. And I was feeling a call to shift more into this astrology, spiritual business, but it felt like a big leap. It felt also like my identity was wrapped up in this. How is this going to shift? How's this going to work? And I was so fearful, and I had this dream, and it was a very quick dream. It was almost like a nap that I fell into. And I went instantly into this scene where I was on the Upper East Side of New York City on a sidewalk. And my grandpa, my maternal grandpa was there. And he was a very tough guy, like Humphrey Bogart kind of guy, also. And he was like, kid. And I was bent over like a little kid in like a Sunday school outfit, like dressed up, and I was pulling a lollipop off of the stuck to the sidewalk in New York City. It was like stuck there, all gooey, like, melted,
Huh.
covered in all kind of stuff. And I was like, oh, and I was pulling it. And he's like, kid, kid, if you let go of that and turn around, like I had something to show you. And I was like, no, I need this. And I was having a temper tantrum. And he's like, kid, turn around. And I finally like turned around, and there was like a candy shop, like out of a dream, like a movie,
Uh,
like Willy Wonka, like beautiful, like colors and pinwheels and sugar, and all these like formless bodies. And I'm assuming they were like my guides and ancestors, and they were all like, come in, like go nuts. And I was like, oh my God, I had been clinging to this thing that I thought was the best thing ever. And it's like, if you could just trust and loosen the grip and turn, we got you, but
Mm,
you have to be the one to let go of that
I
lollipop.
love
And
that.
I think of that metaphor like once a day, especially with my clients and their work. And so what you just said about the dream realm, that is like quite literally what's happening sometimes. Like, can you just loosen the grip on how you think it has to work and play out? And then that little bit of space is where all of the like the magic and miracles come through.
Oh my God, that's incredible. This is great. So this is Maddie Murphy, and her new book, In the Cosmic Zone, is out now, I believe. It's out.
Yep.
And you can go to her webpage, CosmicRx.com, and you have lots of resources for people to start to understand their own
Hmm.
charts. Isn't that right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I am is there anything else you want to say about offerings that you have coming up, like, or what you offer people?
Definitely come to our website. We have a monthly membership where we do manifestation with the moon and the circle, and we have like all the astro dates you need for the month. Other podcasts, and we're always doing different courses and little seminars together just to help you, yeah, embody your most cosmic self, but in community and while having fun while doing it.
I love that. Okay, and then I wonder if you have any final thoughts or encouragements for our listeners.
I will say um, follow your dreams and trust them even when they don't make sense. Your dreams of your visions for your life, but also the dreams you're having that we talk about here. And you were very much born on purpose and with purpose. And those dreams are divine messages to guide you back to
Oh, Maddie, this is fabulous. I could just soak in this all day.
it.
Thank you so much. It's so good to
Thank
have you
you.
on the show.
So special. Thank you for having me.
All right, take care. So, thank you all for listening. The Dream Journal is produced at the studios of KSQD in Santa Cruz. We're live every Saturday at 10 a.m. Pacific at ksqd.org. The podcast is released on the Monday after the show. It spreads interest in dreaming when you subscribe, rate, and review. I am Katherine Bell. You can find out about my dream coaching practice at experientialdreamwork.com. Email me at Katherine@ksqd. That's Katherine. Follow Experiential Dreamwork and hashtag the Dream Journal on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn, and now on YouTube to keep up with the shows. I'd like to thank Rick Kleffel, engineer and music creator, audio editing by Suki Westling. Phones by Eric Nelson. Intro and outro pieces are both by Mood Science. And tomorrow morning, when you wake up, take a minute to write down your dream and bring it to the next Dream Journal.